Gan, Gansao. Gan roughly translates into cleaving. This is a pretty aggressive cover. It's both a strike and a cover, like very straight, in a very straightforward sense. If you've seen somebody do like, a chop attack, that's basically the same kind of thing that we're doing with a gan, except there's a little bit of a difference in the structure. And that's it. So there are two kinds of gan. There's the upper gan that comes down the center here, and then there's the lower gan that comes down here. And you'll see both in the first form. You will see both used quite often in drills, and they're not bad hands to use in chisao or, in the case of actual self-defense either. These are very, very aggressive attacks that are also covers. You're really just kind of doing a chop strike, and kind of the only difference between you doing this, and somebody who's doing like karate going through a whole bunch of bricks is that you stop. So when we do our gan, our upper gan, we're keeping that angle, that fist and thumb distance from the torso. The hand is going down center, and we're keeping it. When we feel it get to that 45 degree or a little bit more, we stop. That's enough. That's fine. We're mainly concerned about covering this area here, and we're not concerned about going through them. We're not concerned about making contact. We're not concerned about necessarily hitting them. If we do, that's nice, but we don't want to count on that. This is mainly used as a cover. That is to say, it's a cover hand. It's not a block. We don't necessarily insist on making contact. It's there to keep us safe as insurance while our body is moved. So we're moving our head from this area that they're trying to hit, and we're throwing this out there as insurance. Same way with the lower gan. We're not trying to hit. We're trying to, leave that out there and cover with it. With the lower gan, again, we're keeping that angle, and we're going in the direction of that chop. So again, that distance, that angle. And in both cases, with the upper and the lower, you'll see that wrist is still on center. So we're still protecting our center. What you might notice is that the upper gan goes in this direction, and the lower gan goes in this direction. So if we're shifting to a lower gan, we're shifting to the same side as that hand that's doing the lower gan. Whereas if we're shifting into an upper gan, we're shifting to the opposite side of that hand. Does that make sense? So this is the right hand, we're shifting left for the upper gan. This is the right hand, we're shifting right for the lower gan. These two hands are often seen in conjunction in what we would call a double gan. So that would be something like this. This is something that I recommend practicing in your basic hand sets, because this is a really common thing. This was described at my school as the oh shit hand. I don't know what's coming in, but I need to cover everything. And so this covers low and it covers high. So we basically have everything covered while we're shifting off the center, and when we make bridge, we can decide what to do at that point, or our trained mind that is trained to feel those openings will know what to do. So let's talk about the structure of this a little bit. So that upper gan goes straight out, and you see we cycle when we do those doubles, but that gan still goes out to the center. Lower gan still goes out to the center. We're keeping that angle, we're keeping this distance. Keeping that angle, we're keeping this distance. It doesn't matter. We're always going to want to be keeping that angle and keeping that distance. And we could go maybe a little bit further with this, or we could go a little bit less further with this. But the same thing as the tan sao and all of our other hands, what you'll see is that there's kind of a happy medium. If you crunch this hand back here to where the elbow is kind of crunched in, your gan isn't really going to be effective at striking, for one thing, but it's also not going to be protecting very much area. So this is not, You see how much longer my arm is than the space that I'm covering. This leaves me wide open. Somebody coming in, that doesn't cover, doesn't protect anything. We want to extend those covers so that they actually cover space. And by the same token, you don't want to like overextend, because if you overextend this chop, like you're trying to like go through like a fucking ton of bricks or something like that, even if you're doing it because you think, oh, just that little tiny itsy bit, I can make that contact, I can strike. What you're doing is you're compromising your structure, because all of a sudden this energy is going to want to continue going, and that's if you're relaxed. But probably what's going to happen is that you're going to tense up. You're going to realize that you've gone too far and you're going to feel off. And when you do that, you have this handle sticking out there. And that is always a bad thing, because again, somebody can break bridge, somebody can grab you, take advantage of you, do a lop, do whatever. It's bad news. But if you're keeping it to that happy medium, that arm bent, that distance here, that's generally going to be a pretty effective strike. And one of the things that's nice about this is because it's just basically a chop coming in, when you do make contact with somebody's arms, they're throwing something in there, you're directly attacking their tool. You're attacking the thing that they're using to strike you with. So, you know, somebody who doesn't, you know, sit there and like temper their arms all day, you know, somebody who hasn't done a lot of fighting, it's kind of surprising how effective that can be, of just simply giving somebody's arm a really good strike while it's coming in, and seeing how that pain kind of might change somebody's mind. And even if it doesn't, it's an effective cover. It will go in, it will challenge that energy. It'll basically just hit it kind of like a pock, similar to a pock, in that it kind of just breaks that energy and then just kind of stays as a cover while you're going in to do something else. But yeah, I mean, it's just a very effective cover, a very effective, thing at attacking somebody's tools while they're coming in. People aren't typically going to want to like keep attacking you if every time they attack you, like you just hurt them, right? I mean, obviously we're not going to want to sit there and just do this, you know, if somebody's attacking us. That's great for a drill, but it's not something that we would do in practice. In practice, you might see 2 of these at the most, and then you're going to see something else, right? You're going to see something else. Something else is going to happen, and that's going to be dependent on what they do. Like always in Wing Chun, we're kind of dependent on what that other person is doing and what kind of signals we're getting, what kind of energy we're feeling, to figure out, you know, where things are going. And that's the practice of teaching that, again, is not we're trying to get to the point where that's not a conscious decision. Like, you know, you feel that energy coming in and you want to know what to do with it. So if this is being challenged here, one of the cool things that you can do with this hand, for example, is that if you feel this being challenged, you can exchange and lop, and you can come really quick into an elbow strike. That would be one thing that you could do. Same thing with a number of other hands. There are different things that we can change to. Like I always think of Tan and Upper Gan as kind of complementary hands. So like, you know, if this is making contact with something and we've taken care of what's happening here, we can just shift over here and we can use that same hand to do this. We don't really have to do much with it other than change the angle of the wrist, really. And same thing with like a lower Gan. We can change that into a bong really easily. See? So if this gets challenged, we can come in with that elbow, and we can give like a backhand strike to the face or something like that. Really nice, because we can just whip over, right? But yeah, those are just some basics about the Gan style, both upper and lower. Again, when practicing those, that Gan comes straight down the middle, no matter whether it's the upper or the lower Gan. You may want to push a lower Gan just a little bit further over, if I had to give any advice, because you do, in my opinion, when you see this in the mirror, you want to see this kind of covering your midsection a little bit, so like down the middle there. Just from personal experience, somebody can sneak an uppercut in there if it's kind of over here, so keep that in mind. They all always go out from center. When you're shifting into that lower gun, you're shifting into the same side arm. Same side arm. When you're shifting into the upper gun, you're shifting to the opposite side. And so just keep that in mind. It's oftentimes a thing that you see when practicing these, that they're both done at the same time. It doesn't have to be. You can totally throw a gun and do a punch this way. You can totally throw a gun and do a punch this way. And in fact, when we do our basic hands, this is actually one of the hands that gets thrown, because the fist is covering high, the gun is covering low, and this is just a really good basic hand to think about using in combat. So anyway, that's gun south, cleaving hand.